We're live on YouTube. And we can begin.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and nothing to bang, so there's no banging. It is 6:02 on Monday, April 28th, 2025. Let the record reflect that Michael Butler and Isaac Huddy and Bella Webb are attending in person. I am attending virtually. I apologize for that. I am recovering from emergency surgery. So I will be here this evening on Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dan, are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
No changes. I'm just wondering, have you seen text? Okay, so we've got an agenda item to accept construction of the facility we're in. It's got to go through a process of the board accepting it. There's somebody pulling in right now, so let's tentatively think that, if he's not here, let's remove it. Okay, I don't know if that's
Okay,
him or
we'll
not.
just plan on him being there on time, and if not, we'll just move it down, so. Okay, student achievement, Stan?
Okay, well, I had the pleasure of meeting one of our students, Oliver. Looks like he is here from Sultan Elementary, and so let me first start by recognizing Venetia Alvarez, SHS Turk of the Month from Sultan High School. So good job. Is Venetia here by chance? We weren't able to confirm that she would be here, but nevertheless, students are the reason why we're here doing this, and so we want to recognize Venetia's wonderful achievements at Sultan High School. So great job, Venetia. There are two athletes for the winter 2025. Wendy Asper, senior, and Ramon Rafael Rodriguez, both seniors. Ramon, Sultan School District Athletic Director Chris Hill presented Ramon and Wendy with their certificate for being voted Sultan High male and female athletes for winter. So congratulations to Wendy Asper and Ramon Rafael Rodriguez. So great job, you guys.
Awesome, thank you so much.
And then in person, we have Mr. Oliver Cordero, Sultan's Elementary Student of the Month. Oliver approaches every challenge with creativity, patience, and determination. He thinks creatively, works well with others, and leads by example. His problem-solving skills make him a valuable classmate and deserving Student of the Month. Congratulations, Oliver. Oliver, would you come up front and get a picture? Can I get a picture with you
two of us?
and the board? All right.
So Oliver's there in person tonight?
Stand in front of the screen so there's something.
Right up here, Oliver.
Congratulations, Oliver, great job.
Good job, Oliver. So let's get right up here, right between us here.
Oh, guys, can you scoot over just a little bit so we can get the girls and Gigi? Good idea, guys.
You guys
I'm here too.
Make
you're
it
in the
work.
photo, Gigi. What do you want? Good job, Oliver.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Good job, Oliver. Good job.
You guys
Great
smile
job,
and make it
Oliver. And I see Cameron has made it. Welcome,
Yes.
Cameron.
Thank you. Sorry.
I hope senior night was good.
Yes, it was very good. Yes, ma'am.
All right, board response from previously asked questions, we have none. And public comments. Our board has adopted policy procedure 1400P for meeting conduct, and this policy and procedure are available on the school district website. If you would like to speak, we have a sign-up sheet by the door. Some reminders, the total time allowed for public comment is 30 minutes, and each speaker has a maximum of 3 minutes. Public comment period is the only time that the public is recognized to speak. This is not a time for dialogue between the board and the public, but rather an opportunity for the board to listen to individuals on educational issues and board members are encouraged to listen attentively. The board chair or superintendent might ask a speaker a clarifying question or respond to a specific comment. If you have a specific question or issue that you would like the district to follow up on, please let us know and someone will contact you within 72 hours. Finally, please remember that your words have impact and you, not the school district, are responsible for your words. We ask that you help us model for our students what a respectful and inclusive community looks and sounds like. And we have Cheryl, I believe, correct?
Yes.
You are up.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Chaplick. I wanted to speak to item G5 tonight, and that is the approval of instrument donation. And I read the documentation that Jill Sumter, the music director at the high school, presented to you, and wanted to give you also a little bit of a little plug for our Sky Valley Music for Life. That's the organization that I am representing tonight. So I'm out and about. Sky Valley Music for Life, we take, as you know, we take instruments donations from the community and we repair them and make sure they're student ready so that we can get them back into students' hands so that students that might not otherwise have an instrument get one, so they can participate in band at whatever level that the instrument that they are at, and they can keep that instrument for as long as they are in the school district's band programs. Evidently in that outreach that I've been doing for asking for those instruments, somebody got one of my cards and gave it to Patty Habitler. And Patty's husband, Bill, had been band director for many east side of the lake school districts over his career. And when he retired, he decided he wanted to repair instruments and give lessons to students. So he did a repair program at the Renton Technical College, did the repairs and created instruments that he could loan and sell. And then he also gave music lessons. Sadly, Bill became very ill and about a year ago passed away. And he had about between 50 and 60 instruments in his workspace, 50 or 60 instruments. It was a lot. So Patty called me and said, I've heard that you can maybe help me on getting these into the hands of kids. My husband, Bill, wanted to make sure that these instruments that he had and spent time repairing would get into the hands of kids. So can you help me with that? I contacted Jill Sumter. She said, of course we want one, because I've been working with Jill and Emily on getting these instruments anyway. But he had a system where he had identified the level of repair that those instruments had needed. And he had something like, it looks like about 36 that were donated and ready to go. Those didn't need to go through Music for Life. They were ready to go directly to the district and get in the kids' hands, because coming through Music for Life is nice because there's no cost to the district, but it does take time because they have to get into the repair queue, into our volunteer, the repair queue that we use is not volunteer, but they give us a deal on it. So, you know, it takes a little bit longer sometimes. Anyway, so there's about 36 instruments that Jill had that you guys are gonna speak to tonight, and I don't, you know, whatever you choose to do with those, but I've got about 24 more of those. And when we get those repaired, they will come back into the Sultan School District. So you'll have some more instruments. And one of the reasons I'm here tonight is to say thank you to Patty and to Bill for contacting Music for Life, because I think it's a great outcome that there are a bunch of instruments, about 36 of them, that are coming into the school district for kids at all levels. The other reason I'm speaking tonight is to let you know that, and the community know that's watching tonight, that doing the repairs takes money. So the instruments are great to have, and we've had a great response from the community. We've got not only this wonderful, huge donation, but we've gotten probably 30 or 40 instruments from other community members. The repairs take time, take money. And so that's another part of my role is to do fundraising. And we are having a fundraiser on May 16. And so I just want to put that out there that we are going to be up at Startup Event Center with the Take 17 band. They're going to have swing and Latin, and we're going to have some light munchies. We'll have some adult beverages, and we hope that we can get a lot of people there. It's $10 entry. And if anybody wants any more information about that, they can see me. They can go to Sky Valley Music for Life on Facebook or on Google. Or if you want to contact me directly, it's Sky Valley M4L for Music for Life, skyvalleym4l@gmail.com. So thank you for letting me present this to you, and I hope that you are able to take advantage of the donation that is coming for your approval, and it will get in the hands and see lots of smiles and lots of kids' faces. So thank you.
Can we drop off the instruments at that event?
You can, and you can drop them off at the Visitor Information Center with the Chamber of Commerce's.
Okay.
Because Debbie Koppel was working with me on that, so you can drop them off there too, and they'll give you your form, and so you can have it for your tax write-off purposes. So,
Great, thank you, Cheryl,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you for all your work too.
thank you.
All right, does anyone have any questions on the consent agenda?
No questions on the consent.
Michael,
No questions on the
I think-
consent
No.
agenda.
can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, passes. Do we have any committee or association reports this evening?
No.
Okay. Student voice, ladies. Cameron and Bella?
Sweet. Okay, that's us. Hi, everyone. I am Cameron Skeeth. I am a senior at Solden High School.
I'm Isabella Webb. I'm a junior at Solton High School.
And some things going on for our sports at the high school. Our boys and girls golf went to Leavenworth this last weekend and did great. Boys golf had their senior night tonight, so that was exciting to get to see versus Kings. And then girls golf went against TPC tonight. They don't have any seniors, so kind of hard to have a senior night without seniors. But there's that, and then
Yeah, and then boys soccer this season is 5-5, so not too bad. And they just had their senior night on Saturday. Softball is also 5-5, and their JV's at Meridian right now, so pretty far away, and it's a doubleheader. And then track's doing really great this season too, and they're playing Glacier Peak this Thursday.
And lastly, baseball. Their record right now is 6-10. They just had a great win against Blaine tonight for their senior night. So that was exciting to get to see. Sorry, that's why I was late. I came from that game straight away. So yeah.
Yeah, we have districts coming up for all of our sports, so very excited.
So getting ready for that kind of postseason opportunity for all our spring sports right now. And that's kind of what's going on at the high school right now. Is kind of just looking at spring sports for sure.
Great, thanks,
Great,
ladies.
thank
That it?
Yeah.
For now.
Awesome, thank you. Mike Marin, teaching and learning update.
Thank you, Gigi. Good evening, Board, Superintendent Chaplik. Tonight I'm just going to talk about the highly capable district plan. We bring this to the board every year, and it's just a formality, something that the state requires is board approval for the plan. We sent it to you. I'm sorry for so many pages. It's literally one page at a time. So did you have any questions about the plan? It's what we've been doing all year long. It's just, this is the time for approval.
I do not have.
I had no questions. Michael, did you have questions?
No questions.
Isaac?
I don't.
Okay. We have no questions.
So I don't know, we can do approval? Okay, so I do need to ask for approval of the plan so I can submit it to OSPI.
Can I get a motion to approve the 24-25 highly capable plan?
I motion to approve the 24-25 highly capable plan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very
Alright.
much.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Dr. Paul Douglas. Student Special Services update.
I'm gonna be really brief tonight.
Thank you.
It was for you. Alright, so Board of Directors, the one thing I wanted to share, positive news, our WAEMS testing, which is strictly for our our highest need students with severe disabilities, their testing comes to an end this Friday. They take the WA-AIMS assessment, so that is completing, so they're excited to be done with their assessments that are coming up. Also wanted to share that we have one of our, it's kind of positive news and sad news. We have a student that's been accepted to the School of the Blind. It's very difficult to get into that program, but it's a wonderful program and a huge advantage for students that are visually impaired. So we're very happy for that student and the family, but once again, we're losing that student unfortunately, but happy for her there. The other is we're working closely with Department of Disabilities Administration to register our students that are in the 18 to 21-year-old program or approaching 18 years old to get them registered with DDA. So like I said, the Department of Disability Awareness and our administration. And that gives them the opportunity to have their social security card address independent living and as well as setting up job shadows and things for them, along with some other supports. So pretty excited about that. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Monthly financial report with Dan Ballard.
Good morning, or good morning, good evening, directors. It's been one of those days, sorry. So I've got my financial report here. We'll go through it fairly quickly, in the interest of time. It's working. There we go. So there's the enrollment as far as for our April count. So we have April, we still have May and June, so 2 more counts to remain for the year. And here is our enrollment as far as a graphical representation for our enrollment. Is there a way, Kayla, could I get that one over on this screen, or because it's kind of far away from here? Or if not, that's fine.
Yeah, that's easy. Get swap them.
Yeah, sorry, Gigi, we're just gonna swap screens here so I can get a little closer to where I'm standing right now.
You can make me as small as possible.
No, we're just gonna swap you to the other side here. 'Cause it's-
Hold on. There's that one.
Perfect, much, thank you, thank you. And that way your head is kind of where you normally would be sitting anyway, so see, that works out, it works out even better that way. Looks more realistic even. All right, so as far as AFTE 2029, their graphic representation, so again, this just updating April numbers here. You can kind of see we started low, hit a peak in January, and then starting to drop down. Typically corresponds to first semester, second semester. It's fairly typical as far as what we see. And then on the reverse, you see as students going in the second semester will be moved out from traditional into ALE programs. So we see a jump in February, and then it's been fairly flat since then. They're all pretty typical numbers. And then head count, we've looked at these before. These are just some kind of space planning narratives that I will continue to maintain as we go through this, but certainly on an upward trend. By building, SES is obviously the one building that we look at that where we have the primary space constraints. Some of our other buildings have been relatively flat over that 15-year period, but that's what that graph is for. And then it breaks it out by head count. Again, a lot of times you hear me talking about FTE, full-time equivalency, that's what drives dollars, but head count is space. When we're looking at space constrictions, what are the buildings designed for? How many students are within those 4 walls? Or how much overcapacity are they? So that's what the purpose of these graphs for Gold Bar. Sultan Elementary, Sultan Middle, and Sultan High School. So the budget stats report for general fund for ending for the month of March. So again, we're always 1 month in arrears. There's the general fund. Capital projects fund. Now, a side note, we will be bringing forward approximately a month from now in May, a budget revision for capital projects fund. Because we had several large projects that were approved and undertaken this year that were not part of the budget. So i.e. purchase of additional portables and the Department of Commerce lighting and HVAC upgrades. Those are projects that have moved forward this year which were not part of the budget. So we need to do a budget revision because we're getting a little close on budget capacity. But I've met with Mr. Weaver and Mr. Moon, and we've already mapped out the remainder of this year. So that revision will allow them to continue their activities through the remainder of this fiscal year. Debt service fund, again, we'll be coming up to our semi-annual payments here on our bonds and indebtedness. Budget status report for ASB, Associated Student Body, and again, this is all 4 schools. That's why we have logos from each of them, and our transportation vehicle fund. And then here is the the exceptions reports, as far as this is your salaries and benefits. So for salaries and benefits, we're now 0.2% over budget proportion, okay? For material supplies and operating costs, you're 6% below. And when you add them all together, you're 1.1% below. Okay? Keep in mind, your staffing costs are significantly larger in material supplies and operating costs, but when you add them all together, you're 1.1% in the green. Now, with that being said, next month, this number, as far as the material supplies and operating costs, go back one, you're 6% below. That's gonna change significantly next month. For the month of April, which again, these numbers are through March, we had the largest accounts payable run that we've ever had in the 13 years that I've been there, over double the size of the largest one that we've ever had. So that 6% to the good is going to change come next month, from that standpoint. So just a heads up on that. We had the AP run 3 weeks ago was $1.45 million for a 3-week period. Largest I'd ever had prior to that was $700,000, so it was over double. Okay. And then this is the fund balance estimates, primarily because of that very large AP run. Now let me say, most of those items were anticipated, it's just the timing of them, they all hit at the same time. So it's a very large payments, i.e. the second payment for your insurance for the district, which is about $300,000. The cost of servicing for your ALE programs to Spokane School District hit, your running start costs. A lot of these big, large invoices all hit at the same time. So we've recalculated your cash based on that, and so you see your balances in April, May, June is your low water mark, obviously, and then you rebound in July and in August. So the June number is significantly down from a month ago, and it'll be very tight. And I've mentioned this several times before. So the district in June and into July will have to utilize various cash management strategies until they get to the end of July, when they'll get an additional apportionment advancements as far as in July and August. And that was it. That's my report.
Thank you, Dan.
Does anyone have any questions that they haven't already asked? Isaac?
No, I do not.
Michael?
No questions, Dan, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Thank you, board.
Thank you. All right, now we have Sultan High School bullying data. And I wanna say that, Laura, I'm sorry about this because it's probably my fault that you're having to do this. But I remember coming into your office, it might have been last year, the year before, and we started talking a little bit about bullying, and you pulled up your spreadsheet with all of your information, and I loved it. So thank you for coming in and sharing with everyone tonight.
No problem, thank you for having me. So starting off, when Gigi asked me to come and share the bullying data with you guys, I was like, well, this year we actually haven't had any reports, like official reports. Now our kids are not perfect, they still can be mean to each other at times, but I'm gonna just share with you a little bit about what we're doing right now and some of the good things that are happening around behavior, and I will get to that bullying piece. So, good news, we don't have any reports, any vector reports of bullying between students this year. Couple things we've been doing is prevention, really getting to talk to our kids before things happen, having a lot of mediations. A lot of my kids that come in and they are struggling with relationships, they don't know how to self-regulate. So we do a lot of mediations this year. I'm finding I'm doing that quite a bit, where before we get to that point where kids are in that spiral of fighting, that we're working on those relationships and having them have those conversations before we get there. And making sure that I'm bringing in their parents and the community whenever there's something going on. I'm calling up the family saying, hey, we need to talk. We also are making sure that our teachers are connecting. This year we had all of our students specifically placed in advisory classes where there's teachers who are intentionally building those relationships, because once again, these are kids, when you get to that bullying piece, it's usually around they don't know how to manage their relationships and their friendships, and making sure that they're engaged here at school and having those good things happening. So last year, we had 549 total staff referrals. This year, and I have to change the number because I did this a few weeks ago. We're up to 182. We've had 182 staff referrals to this point. So we're cutting that by 50%. There's no way we're even gonna get to 500 this year, so that's pretty exciting. Some of the highlights on this, and this is our actual data. Once again, it's just adjusted just a little. So, if you go to the bullying, which I was specifically asked to come to, bullying behavior, you see last year we had about 12, this year we've not had any reports under that vector. Once again, kids are not perfect, they're not always just getting along perfectly, but it's not that systematic bullying, and we're working through that. Our tobacco, thanks to our hosted program, I really gotta thank them. They did a lot of preventative work with our incoming ninth graders. It's down by 80% that we are getting that going. And so under that, we've also brought in our drug and alcohol counselor, Mr. Gardner, who has been amazing. He's working with those kids, keeping them in a lot of support. And then our classroom data, which actually is really impressive. If you look last year, we have gone down, it's about 70% in classroom referrals. So really right now, things are going pretty good around that. And once again, that bullying behavior, it is pretty much zero when it comes to that systematic stuff. So it's nice to see those kind of good things because we always hear high school's kind of rough, but it's going pretty well. So any questions?
No, that's awesome.
Nicole, do you have any questions or comments?
It's all great news. Yeah, I think it looks great.
Isaac? Bella or Cameron, anything you wanna add? Or questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, no issues here.
All right, Sarita and Laura, thank you so much. We appreciate all of your hard work.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
All right, we have the SHS weight room update.
Okay, we'll start out. First of all, my name's Leanne Power. No mystery here. I'm her mother. You may wonder why I'm here. I'm here because I'm her mother and I recently retired. She talks me into things and one of those was, hey, can you try and go raise some money? We really need to fix the weight room. Retired from product development means I'm a problem solver. You don't always just jump right into something. You need to really kind of find out where you're at, what the needs are, what's realistic and what's not. So we're gonna bore you with all of the research that I've done, that Ben's helped me with, that Catherine's helped me with. And we're gonna have them talk just a little bit, but I'm not gonna give them too much time, so. Okay, so we're gonna go through kind of the current state of the weight room, talk about weight room use and current challenges so you can kind of understand where we are there. Ben's gonna do that. Got a case study on the girls volleyball that Catherine's gonna go over. I'm gonna also talk about funding challenges, obviously some recommendations and a conclusion. And we're not expecting any decisions, but we do have kind of some recommendations. Also a little bit of background. I'm not coming to the school board completely uneducated. I'm actually a former school board member in the Riverview School District. And at the time I was on the board, we were a very rural school district. So understanding that M&Os and capital projects bonds are not easy in a rural district where you don't have the business base to take on a big chunk of that tax burden. It's really, really tough on individual personal property taxpayers, and it's tough on the district. And I am sorry, I'm just gonna give you my opinion. McCleary did nothing to equally and fully fund education. Just gonna put that out there. So anyway, moving on. First thing is some basic facility concerns. The weight room wasn't really supposed to be a weight room. It was fit into a space where we could fit it into. We did become aware, I think, Katie, you were talking to maintenance, that they notified us that this summer we are going to be getting the floor sealed and new mats put in. That was so exciting, and Gigi, is she not on camera anymore? You can hear us? Something tells me that Gigi may have had something to do with this because many, many months ago, I talked to her about this really, from my perspective, being a health concern for the students when you're starting to involve mold. And so whoever and whatever did whatever to get that going, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is so, so critical. The walls also haven't been painted in a long time. It's a little bit dull and dirty. Now, Ben's gonna tell you he doesn't want all of his cool little sayings painted over. But, you know, it could use a freshening. The air circulation in the weight room is really poor. It brings in dust and smoke. If you think about the recent fire that we had and how terrible that was here, it just doesn't circulate everything, which has created the mold issue and things on the cement floor. Again, sealing that floor, putting new mats in should take care of that. The storage is also very limited. Again, it wasn't designed to be a weight room, so a lot of the teams are storing their stuff. Things are piled in corners. We just don't have good storage. That takes up room in the weight room, decreases the space for the kids. We thought a visual might be kind of nice, and I know that we are going to be getting this taken care of. At the time this was prepared, however, we didn't know that. And I think this is a really good visual. The bottom is the cement, the top is the mat flipped over. When I went to the weight room and said, hey, Ben, can you find me some mold or some, so I can take a picture for the presentation? He just walked up and said, you know, which mat do you want me to flip over? And there it was. So the other thing to note is the mats in there are very, very thin. And most of the mats in weight rooms need to be 3, 4, 5 times as thick as this. Number one, it's a safety issue if you're dropping weights on the ground. And they're just gonna hold up better and longer over time. It's also the third bullet point. It's written in red. We feel it's absolutely critical that when those new mats go in, also an AstroTurf or strip is what goes into a lot of weight rooms now, is that we would really appreciate if maintenance or the district office could consult the physical education teachers to make sure we get the right thing in there. We're not gonna gold plate it or anything, but we do want the right mats, the turf, and the layout to be proper. There was a problem when we replaced the gym floor. There was no consulting with the PE teachers, and some of the lines on the critical things they do, badminton, whatever, are too light, and it makes it really tough to do some of the teaching there. And so this is that's just an example of why it's critical to really involve the guys that are gonna be using it and know what they need. I just helped build out a weight room, and they actually went to Coastal and used the big giant mats that you put inside like horse barns and stuff. Those things are, they're amazing. They're heavy, but they're amazing. I can't hit the button. Oh, there we go. Okay, equipment. Floor is getting done, awesome. Now, talking about equipment, the weight room was created about 25 years ago. And again, not in a space really designed for a weight room, but guess what? It is what it is, and we're gonna go with it. About 90% of that equipment currently is 25 to 30 years old. Mostly it came from donations over the years, which is great. We heard about the musical instrument donations, and so that's a great way to go, but I don't know how realistic it is. A lot of the pieces are very rusty. Some of that's due to the age and the condition of the floor. If you've got moisture coming up and mold and things, a lot of that stuff's getting rusty. My little attempt at a joke is maybe the kids should get a tetanus shot before they start a weightlifting class because of all the rust in there. Also, due to the age, a lot of the pieces in there take up 2, 3, 4 times as much space as the newer, more modern equipment. So what that means is if we get more modern equipment, especially half racks instead of full racks, we can optimize the space, we can get more students engaged, and it's just kind of safer sort of overall. Here's a couple more visuals. I always think that's a good thing to see. I just went and I didn't even have to ask Ben, do you have any rusty equipment? It was literally everywhere. So this is what our kids are using. And I'm sorry, I don't care if the kids in Sultan deserve what the kids in Bellevue and some of the, richer districts have. They deserve to have equipment that's not in that condition. The other thing is both the weights and the stationary equipment. If you look at this picture, the little thing with the little dot in the middle, you can kind of see the rust on the top of the mat. So again, just that rusty old equipment, I don't know, it's just not safe. And a lot of this is from the unsealed floor. So once the floor is sealed and once the new mats are in, that should stop the bleeding, but now we have all this equipment that's in pretty poor shape. Okay, weight room use and the current challenges. I'm gonna turn it over to Ben for a couple minutes so he can he's Mr. Weight Room, as you guys know, so.
Yeah, so we do have a very well thought out system. A lot of schools do not have a majority of their class periods every day being used in the weight room. And Miss Whitmire and Miss Breen, we've really been conscious of that. And so I do have the ability to teach six weight classes. They're on a 7-period day still. But, and then after school, every day, Monday through Thursday, from about 2:30, 4:15, it's open for general use. It's not athletic based. It's not, and matter of fact, currently we have more kids that are not involved in athletics using the fitness facility after school than we do athletes. But during the summer, I've always believed that it's very important for our athletes to have access to the weight room. And so going back 2021, just coming out of COVID, we averaged 30 kids per day in the weight room every day during the summer, 70 different kids. 2022, we averaged 25 per day. 2023, 27 per day with a high mark. I started taking more data. One day we did, at least one day, we had 42 kids wanting to use that weight room between 7 and 9 a.m. Also, I started tracking injuries in the fall sports, football, volleyball, girls soccer. And then I kind of classified it. If a kid missed at least one varsity game, I considered it, a little bit of a higher level. Of the 6 injuries that fall, only 2 of those kids were consistent in the weight room during the summer. In 2024, this last summer, our numbers dropped a little bit. We averaged 20 student athletes per day. The high mark was 36 in one day. This fall, we had 8 significant injuries, and only 2 of them were consistent at the summer weight room. So 6 kids and whether it was a twisted ankle where they couldn't play in that next game or not, only 2 of them were consistent in the weight room, and one of them, it's like not congenital really, but he's had bad knees since he got into the program. And then the other one was a concussion. And then I also I have them sign in, and these are the sign-in sheets since December. And so, when there's a break in sports from season to season, our numbers jump significantly. And then, a new season kicks in, and those kids that we do encourage multi-sport kids. We're not a big enough district to encourage specialization. But what it kind of comes down to, especially when we get those big numbers in the summer, is we just don't have that space. And if with the new equipment that Leanne was talking about, we can use our space most efficiently. We can, right now we have 9 total stations, usually about 3 kids per station. So that kind of puts us at a cap of 27, and that's contracted language. We have the ability to get in 10 stations, and that can up the number up to about 30 kids a class. And as we go to that 4-period day, being able to have a few more kids in the weight room would make a difference. And with Mr. Weaver getting the floors redone, and since we have to move everything out, this would be an excellent time to be able to move new stuff in. I've also talked to Miss Kelly and Mr. Keeler at the middle school. They would be over the moon to get some of our older equipment that for their space, it works a little bit better. Obviously, and I told them, hey, we can't give you any bars or weights, but just getting them some racks and some benches that they can use, we can start this process in middle school, and I think that'll make a big difference on the back end. Summer access, I'm there Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. And, obviously I want the football players there. Miss Power has had her volleyball kids starting to kick in. And as more and more of our kids look to play at the next level, weightlifting becomes a bigger deal. We had the signing day last Friday where 5 of our student athletes are moving on. Last year, for 7 kids participating at the next level. And over Christmas break, my son happened to be one of them. Hey, I got to be in the weight room this winter, Dad. And okay, we'll have a college weight room time. And so all those college athletes that were home, they want to work out, but they don't necessarily want to be back with the high schoolers. They've talked to me. Derek Feltner plays in baseball at Skagit Valley. He and I communicate on a fairly regular basis about what he's doing. Jonathan Van Pelt, who's a decathlete at Evergreen, has talked multiple times. Hey, man, I'm so far ahead with weight training and knowing what we're doing that the coach has been really impressed. And so having that ability to have it open in the summer is a big deal. And the more efficient we can be with our space, I think the better off we are. Thank you.
These are just some pictures, just showing kind of how crowded it can get with a lot of kids kind of standing around. So again, just some visuals to help you guys out. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Catherine just to do a case study on the girls volleyball team.
Yeah, so I think we started going to the weight room 3 years ago. About right? About right. 3 years ago, we started going to the weight room actually in season. So not only do I encourage them to be in the weight room out of season, but also in season. And definitely saw a big reduction in sports-specific injuries. So reduction in like shoulder soreness throughout this season, and just an overall reduction in injuries. I think too, being in there as a team for a varsity team, it gives them a better sense of team because they're pushing each other in their weightlifting abilities. So at one point 2 years ago, we had a girl with a couple 45s on there, and the weight room stopped and they went and they're like, the whole team was like, you got this. And then we had another girl was like, I could do that too. Again, gathered around her to do that same thing. And then definitely has also impacted our overall ability in the season. Like we were already steadily improving as a program, and then we added that weights, and we saw the results of those kind of getting deeper into playoffs and then finally making it to state. So I think it's a huge thing, I think, to giving, and I know this sounds kind of weird, but giving girls confidence in the weight room, I think is huge, because now when they're going out into the rest of the world and they walk into like a Planet Fitness or is it JB Fitness that's down here? JB Fitness, they're not as timid. They're like, you know what? I know what I'm doing. I understand how to not get hurt. I understand that program. So it gives them a little bit of a sense of empowerment as well, just learning those skills in the weight room.
And I see two shaking heads from kids that have been in the weight room over here, so. I will take it from here and I'll try and get through this. Okay, funding challenges. So this is where I got the phone call, hey mom, Ben wants a new weight room. Can you go out there and find some money for it? Sure, I'll do that, no problem. But I found a lot of challenges. The first one is a lot of them sit behind these websites where you have to sign up and join the website and pay money. I'm retired, I'm on Social Security. I can't afford to do that, right? So you'd have to have a recurring membership to access that. Most of the grants are $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. So you'd have to get a whole lot of grants to get this accomplished. Most of them have to be applied for under a nonprofit. I did work with Turk Fan Club. They're very supportive about running things through Turk Fan Club, but most of the grants are requiring 501(c)(3) status, which Turk Fan Club is a nonprofit. They do not have that status. It's a lot more complicated to run a 501(c)(3). And so that's a roadblock for us too. I did find some grants available through OSPI, but without kind of having, because I think they funnel through the school district. So if the school district doesn't have a grant writer, if there's not a way for us to know when those are coming through, makes it tough to apply for. The last one though is kind of a positive. I got an email from WIAA about a company called E-Team Sponsor. And it's really cool. It's kind of like, you get the thing that says, hey, do you want to donate $25 to Children's Hospital? Those types of fundraisers. They have a website, they create the website, they give us access, we put it all up there. We get students involved in helping with fundraisers like, hey, Grandma and Grandpa in Arkansas, can you donate $25 to our weight room? So we have found this, but we put a pause on it because we wanted to bring this to the district, make you guys aware of the state of the weight room, see if there are some other potential options out there. So I came up with some recommendations. Don't have to go with these, but some recommendations. Number one, prioritize the core facility for student and staff health. We got that cement floor getting sealed. We are getting those mats and turf put in. That is beyond amazing. Paint the walls. We could hold off on painting the walls, but installing some storage for equipment is pretty critical, again, to maximize space. We've kind of estimated storage and painting at around $5,000. We also recognize at the district that our maintenance staff are stretched pretty thin. So if we need to get some volunteers to help with some rollers, we're more than willing to do that. And then equipment phase one, broke this into two phases. Again, I don't know the gentleman talking, where'd he go, about budget. It's pretty tough on school districts these days, really, really tough. So what we're asking potentially is, given Ben mentioned all that equipment's gonna be out, okay? Can we at least put the half racks and benches in? Those are the big, heavy pieces. If we could do that and not move the old stuff in and then the old stuff back out, we're estimating the half racks and the benches at about $24,000. I put a pad in there for tariffs, inflation, whatever you want to call it. So the high end, oh, I have a spelling error, I'm sorry. The high end estimate total is about $28,000. All in for this phase one recommendation is 33 to 35, so, you know, we could give up the painting, but the storage, I think, is a critical component. This is the weight room I was talking about that we just recently designed, and that center turf part is for like the big giant ropes or doing lunges with weights and needing to have more space. And Ben actually has that planned, and he's got some designs he's put together for the new weight room. Recommendation for phase two, replace the additional rusty and outdated equipment. I'll give Ben credit for all of these numbers. He's gone out, he's done all of the estimating, what equipment he needs. But the high-end estimate for the remaining equipment we need is about let's just say $12,000. Conclusion, you guys get to hear me I'm gonna quit talking here pretty quick. Number one, safety and health are huge. Super thankful to the district, hint, hint, Gigi, for getting the floors and mats taken care of. We would like to see if there's any way the district can find it in the budget to replace that heaviest equipment initially. And then maybe a commitment to replace the other outdated equipment. We do understand, again, limitations to the money that the district has, so maybe we could even work this out over a two-year period. Again, ensuring the involvement of the physical education department from the beginning as far as the mats and turf go. And then in big giant, you know, whatever, is really what we want to do is provide the students at Sultan High School a safe facility that's functional, that contributes to healthy body, healthy mind. We all know that if kids are physically healthy, they're a lot more mentally healthy. You were just talking about not bullying. By having resources like this, I think that helps contribute to things like bullying going down and that type of thing. There is an appendix, I won't go through that. The school board, I think, should have access to it. It's got some of the design layouts and some kind of additional information. So, are there any questions from the board?
Thank you so much, and I know that we've had these talks, and, you know, I thank Dan and Charlie for, you know, taking my little hint and running with it and getting things going for you guys. I think that I can speak for the other guys that are there right now, and they'll let me know if I can't, but we want all the students to have safe equipment and to be safe and to be able to not worry about, you know, getting injured or the rusty and the mold and all of that. I would love to see a meeting with Dan, Charlie, myself, maybe another board member, Katie, Ben, to really sit down and see, maybe we get, because I know Mike Marin deals with grants, to go through and see if there are some grants that the district can go after. Tried doing a grant committee last year or the year before, nothing came of that. So this would be great to have a grant committee for something like this. And I'll let the other guys speak, but I think that this is something we really need to look into very soon, and put a lot of thought and effort into making this happen.
And
Michael?
Gigi, sorry, just one thing real quick too, is the E-Team sponsor fundraiser. We were kind of getting toward sort of the endish of the school year, and fall is a big kind of pickup. I'm about 80% ready to launch that. So that was another thing, is if we can't get the funding from the district, we may want to add that E-Team sponsor as a way to fundraise. And so just want to kind of throw that out there, that we're still willing to do that. But that's a really super easy way for us to kind of generate a fundraiser without having to get donations and have auctions and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to throw that out there. We're still willing to do that.
It's gonna be, you know, us getting, you know, get Dan Ballard involved and, you know, get an idea of, you know, make sure we've got the cost right and, you know, what can we do and what can't we do? Michael Butler.
I think, you know, especially with everything being cleared out and having a bare floor before we put in mats, it seems like it would be foolish not to paint at that time. That's certainly low cost, good maintenance. I think the racks, again, good timing. I think that's kind of an easy, low bar to move on fairly quickly. The rest of the equipment, I'd be really interested to see how much is ready to break. I mean, you talk about being rusty and everything. Being safe is absolutely important. If it's rusty and ready to break, it's gotta go. If it's surface rust and we can hit it with sander and put a fresh coat of paint on it, it probably lifts
Most
just.
of the racks
Yeah.
they're safe.
Yeah.
The bars, we've stretched the bar life. They've been here ever since I got here, and talking to Mr. McNamee, who knows, they could be bought in the mid-90s.
Sure.
I know we have dumbbells that the shop class has welded and re-welded and re-welded and re-welded.
Yeah.
That are way older than all of our students, and maybe as old as Miss Power.
Which one?
Yeah. They're probably not quite as old as I am, but they take abuse. They're teenage kids.
Yeah.
And we cycle through a lot of kids through there.
Yeah.
And so even with trying to be careful,
Yeah.
wear and tear.
And my-
Equipment failure with the weights those big kids are lifting would be
Right.
dangerous, so,
And
yeah.
Michael, and I think on the racks and the kind of the rust, and they're still safe, I think the big kind of sell there is they take up a lot less room, and so because of that, we can maximize the space and get more kids in by putting the half racks in, so. just
Yeah,
throwing that back out
that's great, I do think there is a balance between, funds and functionality. And frankly, if we gotta move it in and out of there twice, those kids get to lift it
Sure.
twice.
Sure.
Isaac, any comments?
I totally agree with what Michael just said. Also, I think I totally agree with the self-confidence part. It's huge having kids. I was 6'3", 160 my senior year. And then I started going to the gym and my confidence exploded from just starting to feel healthy. Bullying back in the mid-90s was not good, and that helped with that. When it comes to just the safety of the athletes too, that's huge. I mean, if you don't work out and you don't have that muscle pack, that's how you get hurt. I think we need to figure out how to fix this. I mean, I have never been in the workout, the gym here.
You're welcome,
Yeah,
Bill, welcome anytime.
that mold and everything that was there, that's awful. So I'm glad we're sealing that, but I'm willing to, reach out, see where we can get some of that equipment donated. I mean, I know plenty of people that have, I do work for a couple owners of gyms. I'll see anything we can do, cause that would be huge to fix all this. I mean,
And Katie and I have come up with a few different business plans over the years, and been told, no, not yet, but if it's open, we'll bring you more than a few about donations and, friends that I have that run weight rooms in different schools throughout America and how they fund their weight room, in ways that I think is absolutely acceptable. And so I'd be interested in exploring that with you guys as well.
awesome.
Bella and Cameron, do you guys want to add anything quickly?
I like it.
I like it. I would love a new one.
I didn't know it was moldy. I'm kind of grossed out. Like,
That's pretty
I was on the
bad.
ground last week. Kind of grossed out.
You weren't under the mat, you're on top of it, you're all right.
It's too close.
So,
It says the wrestling.
Dan, can we get scheduled something that we can meet up and discuss this and get some more, this was very specific, and Leanne, thank you, this was a great presentation. So let's get together and, because if we have a very specific list of what they want, we can say, Isaac, can you find anybody? And we can get some timelines going on this and see what grants there are. So if we can get something scheduled next week.
Yeah, we can start with a meeting, I suggest that. Looking at the cost and knowing a little bit about this stuff, that's pretty inexpensive for weight room stuff as it goes. It's all relative to the us making a plan and figuring out how we're gonna divide the plan up as far as, where the priority for the money goes. And that's, but I don't disagree with anything I've heard. And we need to figure out ways to make these things happen. And so I would say that, whoever was mentioned for the meeting to start, and then we would want one of the high school administrators certainly there with us. And we start there with the discussion and figure out where to go from there.
I think
That
the
would be my
safety and,
suggestion. We can make it
health
happen
and
next
safety
week.
Number one, so, all right, well, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was very well done.
All right, we have approval of SHS ASB Constitution Amendments. Kate Powers.
All right, so the ASB went through, we have kind of two parts of our constitution. We have this part that we're gonna look at now that has to go through a very specific process to get changed. That first one is the executives kind of recommend some options, then it's brought to the general ASB who says yes or offers suggestions to be changed. Then this particular part has to be brought to the school board for final approval. So I have two of our executive officers here, and they're gonna just kind of highlight some of the pieces that they changed. Some of it was just because things needed to be updated a little bit because they don't exist anymore, or like times have changed, right? Like we have more computer use than we used to, so like some of those things needed to be updated. You can use that, I think, unless you can scroll or you go. Do you scroll?
Just gotta hit the little arrow.
Just did
Oh,
There we
here
go. Okay, we'll go to the first change. So missed it. Okay, where is it there? Okay, so the first thing we did is we added sports captains and reps into our who has to be there. They already were coming, and it's pretty important that your sports captains and representatives for them are going to a meeting if they're paying for something. So that was our first change.
It also adds to how many people we oh, there's only this amount of people, then we can't have a meeting, you know what I mean? So adding more people to represent, meaning we can not have to worry about, oh, we don't have enough people for the meeting. Okay, and then the next thing we have is, so we did some changes about the jobs for each executive member. So like Ms. Power was saying, there was some stuff that was just what does that mean? Or some things that, oh, they've already been doing this, so let's put it into the Constitution to continue it. So one, for our treasurer, we have shall be responsible for maintaining the online budget worksheet. So, our on our Canvas page, we have the equity balances open for all students to see. And then another thing that's highlighted in red is for the business manager. That's something I do. But it's responsible for promotion of ASB. So we have our rock in front of the school. We have the calendar, our Instagram page, chalkboard, things like that. Just adding that to it. Then we also crossed out a bunch of stuff just because we haven't been doing it. So we have for the president, I can't read.
I know it's so small.
So the president, they used to actually sit as a member on the
Okay.
school board, and so we just crossed that out because that piece changed, but the Constitution hadn't actually been updated. So that part got taken out. Inter high for the vice president right now got taken out just because we don't have inter high. And the business manager was in charge of the budget worksheet, which was confusing because that seems like a treasurer job, so they just essentially moved it to the treasurer and took it away from the business manager.
Okay, for this one, we have at least 3 of the ASB members have to have one more class on campus, which is pretty important because you don't want to have a bunch of your class officers not even at the school at all during the day. Maddie and I only have one class at the school, and it's already difficult enough for us to, keep in the loop about when assemblies are, tests that we should be doing at the school. So making it so that at least 3 of each of your officers for each grade or for executive are actually at the school is pretty important. And then 2 of them can still, do full-time Running Star or things like that.
No classes at the high school.
Yeah.
Just know you have 5 officers total, so.
Yeah. So 3 of them got to have 1 class. Where is it? Oh, there we go. And instead of teachers on this one, we changed it to staff, which you should be including everyone that's working for your building. So change that one there.
Yeah, for elections, we have to have 3 staff members to give us a recommendation. And yeah, before it said teachers, but we have been doing staff, so we just decided to change that.
That's it for what they need to approve. That's the other
Okay,
stuff. That, yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah. So just a couple like changes, add-ons, getting rid of things that are unnecessary.
A lot of it's outdated.
And so, do we ask for approval? Yeah, so we're asking for approval to get those changes into our ASB constitution.
I have no questions. I sat through a training on ASB and it's a lot what you guys have to know and do and everything. So I applaud you for doing it. Isaac, any questions or comments?
No, you guys, that looks great.
Michael?
You guys are getting rid of the assembly for elections?
Yeah,
Oh.
we
Is
got,
it, I'm guessing it kind of went out of the way with COVID and then just kind of never
So
came
now
back?
they just have to do a statement, so we just did our statement that we will be running, like I'll be running for senior class president, I'm Ms. Billup, I'll be doing that. And it's a mandatory meeting we go to give out all the information, but
it showed that a lot more kids were wanting to be a part of ASB when we took away that. It's like, you know, they were too scared to take or make a speech in front of their school, and so yeah, a lot more involvement when that was taken away. So we just thought it was better for our student body.
Austin, anything else?
We used to kind of struggle sometimes to get all the positions filled, and now we've actually occasionally split apart stuff so that we can get more kids involved, but we truly do have more kids that are wanting to be part of ASB specifically because that doesn't exist anymore.
I'm floored that's the reason why, but it sounds like you found something that works, so I'm not gonna question it. Awesome.
some kids just want to do work behind the scenes.
Well done finding a solution to a problem.
Before I ask for a motion, I will ask our student reps for an advisory vote. So I'm remembering to say Cameron. Cameron,
I vote
how would you vote?
I vote yes.
Bella?
I vote yes too.
Or not.
I
Can I get a motion to approve SHS ASB Constitution Amendment, please?
I motion to approve SHS ASB Constitution Amendment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Great job, guys.
You guys are good to go. Next, we have approval of suicide prevention plan from the Mental Health Advisory Committee. Who's gonna be speaking tonight?
Everybody we can find.
I just wanna say, while you guys are getting up there, that,
Jeff,
when Heidi
come on up.
Dawson and I created this, like, I am so happy to have passed this on to, and all of you guys that have worked on this since the beginning. I think I see the back of Jeff's head. But everybody that's been a part of this committee, I am so proud of you all because you guys do so much good work and I really appreciate it personally. So have at it, whoever's up there.
I think I got the short stick today. So with that, so there's a lot of work that went into it, and before I even start, I wanna give, the credit really goes to Marcy Osborne, who really put a lot of work into this. Got the templates together, did a ton of work with Forefront, and ultimately gathered all our ideas and put it into a final product, which is what you're seeing today. So please acknowledge Marcy for that. Dan is gonna help me a little bit as we talk about Forefront. So Forefront, I don't know if Dan, you wanna share, you've shared at the board meeting before about Forefront and our connection with them.
Yeah, Forefront is based down at the University of Washington. They support public schools. Most of the work is free, but not all of it, in developing model policy procedures for crisis plans around mental health and suicide prevention. And so we've worked with them a fair amount over the last couple years, as we've looked at, they actually did sort of an audit of our policy and procedures and gave us some feedback on what we needed. It's amazing the amount of stuff that goes into having a plan. It is just amazing. And to have a local expertise on some of this stuff on staff is difficult without an agency that could give you sort of some feedback of, here's all the things you need, and here's all the things that need to happen to do it. And so I think at some point we scored about a 50%, which I thought was gonna be better than that, but there was just so much involved. Stuff that we didn't even know needed to be covered. And so it's a progress over time in making sure these things are in place. Then as people come and go, you have to have the systems in place to be able to make sure that they get maintained or they stay up to date, because in a smaller system, that can be tricky. Because you have a couple of key people leave or new people hired, and it just is really challenging. So anyway, Jeff's been involved in that. Paul's been involved, and a whole number of citizens have really played volunteer. Gigi. So it's been a really, and I'm gonna talk a little bit during my presentation. I met with Student Advisory Committee today, and we spent some time on mental health, and I'll share what that is. But anyway, this is important stuff, so good work.
All right, so with that, Kayla, go ahead and switch to the next slide. I was gonna ask you to enlarge it, but I think I'm okay. All right, so like Dan said, in our original plan that we submitted to Forefront, we scored a 50%. Our latest plan, which is what you're seeing, scored a 94%. So lots of gains. It's very difficult to get to 100%, just because of the complexity. But 94 is a fantastic score, and they gave us the thumbs up, move forward, and also shared that we are one of the few districts that have really gone above and beyond to create a solid plan. So this is what we've gotten here. So it outlines the infrastructure is just really the outlining of the designated individuals responsible at each school, key community partners providing support, essential checklists, and the plan for safekeeping and regular updates. So you'll see in your packet you had the different appendices that talked about the different templates that were available for each school. And it had the safety plan, it had the reentry plan. All of those are divided up by school, and each school has their own template and who's assigned to do what there. In the reentry plan, for a student to return to school, walks you right through all the different questions that need to be asked and need to be addressed before the student can return to school. But not only returning, but what are those supports in place while the student returns, and how do we support that student as they come back into school? Prevention, focus on the suicide prevention training for staff and students and parents, beginning with the initial engagement and awareness building efforts. So again, trying to train our staff. A lot of our counselors are trained already, but making sure that other staff know what are some of the signs to look for when they're working with students. If they see some of the signs, making sure that they're having contact. Also training our students to look out for their colleague or their peers, and if they have concerns, making sure they come forward, which we see a lot more of that now than we did 2 years ago. It is also Mental Health Awareness Month in May, so just as a reminder to that. Intervention, again, I kind of touched on that already, is trying to identify early what are some of those needs. Laura, who was here earlier, talked about vector alerts. Those are also ways that we find out that students are talking about suicide or contemplating it, and allows us for early intervention to reach out to agencies, parents, and so on, so that we intercept or intervene early for those students. The reentry I also briefly talked about. It's really important when a student comes back from a mental health facility or that has inpatient, that we have a plan in place to make sure they're successful when they come back, that they're supported, and that nobody's gonna drop the ball in terms of being aware of their needs and what supports that will help them be successful. And then last is just the postvention piece. If there's a crisis, what do we do to examine what happened? What could have been done differently? What's the debrief part of it? Having that good communication with parents, and the student themselves to look at what are the different pieces that are needed and continue to support them. What are the resources that are out there? So that kind of gives you the basic piece of that. I think it's been fantastic work by the mental health community or committee, and again, I'd like to applaud all of them for their efforts and Marcy for putting this all together for everybody. Any questions?
I have no questions. Isaac, do you have any questions?
Nope.
No questions.
Michael?
Nope, no questions.
Okay. Isaac?
No questions.
Okay. Bella, Cameron?
I don't have.
Nope.
So you're seeking approval of the suicide prevention plan, correct, Paul?
Yeah, the plan, and then we would add this to procedure.
Okay. And is there a cost involved in this at all?
No, not unless we access some of those resources.
Okay.
And-
I didn't see anything. I just wanted to double check, so.
Well, and then one of the
Before I
things that
ask-
we added was
Go
that,
ahead.
one of those things we talked about last month is Cure Solace. And they would connect with our resources with this plan as
Okay.
well.
Before I ask for a motion, advisory vote from our student reps, Bella?
Yes. Oh, so
Cameron?
that's, yes, sorry.
Can I get a motion to approve the suicide prevention plan from the Mental Health Advisory Committee?
I motion to approve the suicide prevention plan from the MHAC.
Yeah, it's gotta be one of you two, so sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you all for all of your hard work. I know that there's a ton of hours put into this, and Marcy is just awesome. That's all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, approval of instrument donation.
So, that wonderful background presentation during the public comment period. Without further ado, I recommend you move and make a motion to accept this donation.
Sounds
All
good.
right, advisory vote. Bella?
Yes.
Cameron?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve instrument donation?
I motion to approve instrument donation.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. And thanks to everyone for all their hard work in getting all those. That's a lot of instruments. That's awesome. The district office HVAC. Mr. Weaver.
Good evening, directors. We talked about heating and air conditioning and ventilation for the district office. I was asked to give prices. I have given those prices. I'm open to looking at alternative ways of heating and cooling that space. But I have that number to put before you for approval.
That's a huge number.
So can I make just a recommendation? It might not be very popular. I think what I would recommend is this would be appropriate for discussion. You know, and certainly the board can do whatever they want. I don't recommend at this moment that you approve this based on the cost.
I'd love to have some talk about this,
I
because it's
think-
such a big number and it's.
Part of doing this is there's a history that goes way back at taking a look at the HVAC system in the district office. It's a pieced together system based on a building that was once a house that's been added on both ends, I believe. And so you have a system that could fail at any time. And I don't want Dr. Granger, when he comes in, to all of a sudden have a failed system in October. And the new guy's putting a brand new heating system in. That's sort of the way the mentality works, and I wanna offer him some cover for that. And also let you know that we fully understand that the heating and the cooling in the classroom is something that we're cognizant of. And so, but there's really issues all over the place as far as having things that are old and trying to make them work. And so this to me seems expensive. And I just recommend you discuss it and don't take any action on it.
I think from the quote and from the conversations I heard earlier, I think that we do not take any action on this evening. And we, as a board, request more information, and maybe Isaac, you wanna like chat with Charlie some more about maybe some other ideas, and let's come up with some better ideas to present at the next board meeting. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah,
Michael and Isaac?
we actually chatted
We have
before the
chatted.
board meeting, and came up with some alternative ideas that we will get some pricing on.
You know, and just for the record, one of the challenges that takes a project like this and makes it expensive is you have prevailing wage that you have to pay. And that's just a reality, it's not a secret, but when we have a public project, that it's subject to that. And that raises the cost probably 35%.
Oh, yeah.
Michael and Isaac, are you guys good with that?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome, thank you. We will move on. Approval of resolution 24-08. Dan Ballard.
All right, this is the resolution in regards to additional transfer of proceeds from general fund to transportation vehicle fund to pay for the bus that the board approved back in the fall, small bus. And so we're at the point where we will need resources to make good on that obligation when that arrives. It has not, don't have needs for the monies right at the moment, but within the next month, I think we will. So I'm trying to be proactive and get those monies transferred, so when the bill comes, then we can pay it in a timely manner, so.
We definitely want to pay.
Does anyone have questions that they already haven't gotten answers for? Michael?
No questions.
Isaac?
Not at all.
Cameron or Bella?
No. Nope.
Advisory vote, Cameron and Bella?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, sorry.
Can I get a motion to approve resolution 24-08?
I motion to approve resolution 24-08.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, directors.
Approval of transportation cooperative project, which I find funny because that's where you guys all
Yeah,
are
this
all now.
this is a step that makes the project official. Tex is not here, I recommend you table this until we have him here.
Okay, is he still coming or?
Don't know, he was scheduled to be
Okay.
here, conversations
Okay.
occurred, not sure what happened, so,
We'll table, and if he ends up getting there, just let me know.
okay.
Okay, Charlie, you're up again. Approval of SMS gym floor repair.
Okay, so middle school gym floor has had a problem for a long time. We put it out to bid to see how much it would cost to get it repaired. The lowest bid was more than double of our estimate for repair. And I'm not in favor of spending $150,000 on a gym, portion of a gym floor when a complete replacement that we just did at the high school was $300,000, so. I would like to move to not approve the low bid and to
Reject
move
all
forward with
bids.
alternative ways to fix it.
Has to be repaired, but there are some different ways to do it. When you go into something like this and you're trying to determine, make an estimate of what it'll cost, it's very difficult to get companies to give you a bid for something that doesn't have an RFP on it. So you talk with vendors, you talk with engineers, you talk with people, and you come up with an estimate. And that's where the $75,000 budget came in, and it came
Well,
in.
and to add backstory, the floor is from the late '50s. It's old and we have no drawings for it, so there's some unknowns to what's underneath. So there has to be some exploratory surgery to see where we're at on it.
But we think.
Isaac and Michael, are you guys on the same page with that, holding
Yeah.
off?
Yes, we've talked to Charlie a little earlier. We
Okay.
agree.
I'm good with
So I'm gonna ask for a motion and then you guys just don't need to motion and then it won't get motion. So do we have a motion to approve the SMS gym floor repair? We have no motion to approve, so the motion is denied. And that's another thing you can work on, Charlie, for the next meeting.
So we'll bring a different scope of work, approach it differently.
Okay, thank you. Adoption of policies and procedures for civil rights compliance.
So the policies that you see before you are all policies that are currently active and have been adopted by the school board. So this is a process that puts us in line with the model handbook of how this process works with the civil rights. So I just recommend that you approve. Those aren't any policies that need to be adopted. The policies and or procedures are already part of our list of currently approved policies and procedures.
So if they're already a part of our approved policies and procedures, what are we doing?
Listing them in this handbook for the civil rights
Compliance.
for OSPI.
Listing them in a handbook for OSPI? I mean, frankly, I read some of this and I'm not sure that I agree with a lot of it. There's limitations on somebody allowed to escalate what am I looking for? If you go to court, you don't get the ruling you want to, you can appeal. There's limitations on appeal that seems to be different for person complaining versus the person who's being complained about. I think there's some changes that could be made that could make this a little better.
And as a board member, you can make can certainly concur if that's what you guys wanna do. We're putting it before you, aligning the policy and procedure that would be part of that handbook, and if there's questions you have, you can say, wanna get those questions addressed first.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of these things looked at, and frankly, some of it I just flat out disagree with, so I'd like to see a review.
May 5th to be in compliance.
Well, so if we don't pass these things, there's still,
You would fail the compliance check.
So these are required for us to be in compliance with OSPI. Is that correct?
Yes, we've been doing a pretty comprehensive response that happens every year with the Office of Civil Rights at the federal level.
and what are the consequences of not being in compliance with OSPI?
Directive to get into compliance, I don't know that for sure. Other than maybe funding is withheld, I don't know.
So are these just OSPI related? Are these federal related?
They can't be federally related.
This is OSPI's handbook, their model handbook that they want us to do. We're simply trying to meet the requirements of that. But if we're not there, then and the board wants to do something different, then I guess that's what we do.
Isaac, do you have thoughts on this?
I don't have any of the feelings that Michael have, but if he wants to go through it, that's more than fair.
I mean, I've read through it, and yeah, I take issue with some of it.
Our choices are, I ask for a motion to adopt. We get a motion and we vote. If it goes through, it goes through. If it doesn't go through, then we can take another look. I will say though that I do think that even if we did vote and pass this, that doesn't mean that we still can't revisit it by the next meeting, and we would be in compliance, but then we can take these, pull these out, and the policy committee can work on it and give your recommendations or what the things that you don't maybe agree with, and the policy committee can work on those. And then we would be in compliance in the meantime, but then that would give us the chance to take some more time and go back through and look at those. Kayla, does that sound like you agree with that?
Yes.
Or if you didn't want to pass it, you can say it was rejected in its current form. The board will revisit at the May business meeting.
And then we just have to submit.
Just have to say that we're not in compliance.
Student reps, do you guys have any comments or questions on this?
I like your plan, Gigi. I think that's why you can really go back, really rethink everything of that. Because looking through, you see some chat GBT in there, and I don't know if I'm in love with that.
So if we had a motion to approve this, would your advisory votes be yes or no?
How do you
Ladies?
yes to Gigi?
Gigi, are you asking if I'd say yes to what you're suggesting, or say yes to pass this in general?
Yes. Yes to pass it, but then to go through and like what I just said a
Okay,
minute ago.
I would say yes if we go along with your plan of going through it again and changing these things. But yeah, that would be my yes for that.
Yes.
So how about I say this? Can I get a motion to adopt policies and procedures for civil rights compliance with the caveat that we will
Go through it.
revisit these in the policy committee in order to address any outstanding questions and issues. And if, Isaac, if you want to motion that, that's great. You don't have to say it all. But do I have a motion for that?
If it means going back through this, I would motion that if we can make the changes. This is just to get us in compliance, but we can change
Yeah.
everything in it. That's fine.
So Kayla, we have a motion to adopt policies and procedures for civil rights compliance with a caveat that that the policy committee will address any concerns the board has at their next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion passes. But Michael, we will take, we're gonna go through each
Motion-
one and make sure that anything that
doesn't
you
pass.
have questions on,
That's 2 to
we'll
1.
go through them. And make sure, and then we'll, so, yeah. All right.
Gigi,
Second read of policy 1822.
Gigi, just wanted to clarify, so Michael Butler's vote was nay, so the motion
Yes.
did not pass.
The motion what? I'm sorry?
Did not pass.
It needs 3, I thought, yeah.
Oh, it does. I keep forgetting there's only 3 of us tonight. So, all right. So motion fails. So we will,
We need to meet quickly and go through them.
I'll get in touch with Kayla tomorrow and, about the policy committee, and we will figure that out. All right, second read of policy 1822.
Any board members have questions on this?
I do not. Isaac, do you have questions?
On the training, no.
Anybody need further update on the timeline and the frequency that you're required to do the training? There's some onboarding where you have some time and then you have to repeat once every 4 years for some of it.
I think, has anyone done the WASDA training yet besides myself?
I did.
The 2 that are required.
The online ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're complete.
No. Check that one.
And Kayla, do you have the documentation for everybody?
No.
because what are the two, Kayla, can you read the two off?
Open government training, cultural competency, equity, diversity, and inclusive training.
Yeah, I know the open government training, but then the other ones, have you guys done the other ones as well? The equity,
Culture,
let's follow,
competency, equity,
let's
diversity.
follow up to make
Yes.
sure that we, Kayla, that we have everybody's complete on that. Did anyone have any questions on the policy itself though? Michael?
No questions.
Nope.
Question?
Nope.
No? Okay. Advisory vote, ladies?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve second read of policy 1822?
I motion to approve second read of policy 1822.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, pass it is. First read of policy 3110. Did anyone have any questions on that one? Isaac?
No, I did not.
Michael?
Nope.
Bella or Cameron?
No.
Advisory vote, Bella and Cameron?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve first read of policy 3110?
I motion to approve the first read of policy 31110, or 3110.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, passes. First read of policy 3126. Isaac or Michael, any questions?
No questions.
Comments?
Nope.
No? Ladies?
Nope.
No.
Advisory vote, ladies.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve first read of policy 3126?
I motion to approve first read of policy 3126.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. You guys are having emotion more tonight than you ever have altogether, I think. Policies for May are 3220 and 3223, in case you want to get started early on those. And then I think that takes us to superintendent's report, correct?
Yep.
All right, Dan, it's all yours.
Okay, so superintendent's report, let me get it open, I'm gonna be fast, I know everybody is going, so let's take a look at this. Can you pull it up there, Kayla? So I met with the superintendent student advisory committee today. I had the good fortune of having Bella present. Hopefully Cameron can make it at a future time. We did some interesting things. Part of it, we spent some time on mental health. We watched about a 10-minute video. And the students are grades 6 through 12. We've signed up about 20. There was probably about half that many today. And they kind of did some brainstorming of what they know about mental health issues, what they want to know, and then we watched this video about screen time and cell phones and social media, and they came back and stated, what they learned, and this all kind of builds because we then went over the school district's strategic plan and goals and talked as a group about bringing their voice prominently to next year's strategic planning, or however the board decides to work with the community and Dr. Granger at that, because we want the student voice to be part of the process, and so it's all kind of building together. Second item there is, I had mentioned, not very loudly because I wasn't sure if it was gonna come to be, that we received a modernization grant probably, almost a year ago, 2 years ago, in the amount of $11,900,000, and it looks like it's gonna be rewarded. And so we heard as of Friday that will be rewarded. Work won't start until 2027, but it'll help update a lot of things in each of the schools that just are worn over time. And $11,900,000 makes a difference.
Yeah, chunk
Makes a
change.
big
That's
difference.
awesome.
So, just like that. And then Sultan Elementary School, I also received an email last Friday that that they will be recognized, and official results will be released on the 6th, that they're one of only 16% of schools that will be recognized for student growth during the 23-24 school year for student learning. That's for student achievement and growth and everything, and they're, you know, it's amazing with how many kids are on that campus. And I mean, this stuff, you know, they're just doing really good stuff, and it's a compliment to all of the staff, regardless of what they do. They all contribute to this, and the leadership at the building are doing a great job. So there's that. And then
That's awesome.
May 6th or 9th, I don't have it right in front of me. You know, we're really focused on CTE and the trades, and so we had Trade Up Day back about a month ago, and we're also gonna do a maritime trade up deal where we're gonna go and visit. About 25 kids are gonna go out to the Port of Everett and go through some training and get some exposure to the maritime trades. And so that'll happen, we've got 25 slots, and that'll happen in about a week or two. So that trying to break down the barriers and make sure the kids that live in our community are exposed to options and ideas and things that hopefully spur their interest and things to move forward. So that's it.
Awesome.
Great, thank you, I appreciate it. Do we have executive session tonight?
No executive session.
Awesome. Does anybody have anything else before we are done? No? All right, you guys can fight over this one. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Awesome, thanks for
Ingrid, how are you?
being on